Well, if you're ready for campaign season, it is here. And we had, of course, when Lubbock City Councilwoman Karen Gibson announced she's running for county judge, it meant that a lot of people might start popping up and going, I wonder if I want to run for Lubbock City Council. And the first person to officially throw his hat into the ring, there he goes. He's throwing his hat right now into the ring. Randy Christian joining us here on the show. Welcome.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Well, you know, I heard you this morning, and I almost called and said I couldn't make it when I found out the Facebook Live was down because I brought my brand new hat.
You
my
did.
New campaign hat.
I like the hat.
Yeah,
it's a nice hat.
I was really looking forward to putting that chapeau on and being on Facebook Live, but your cables are down.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll have you on later on,
Okay.
and you can bring back the hat.
Okay, that's a deal.
That'll work.
That's a deal.
Well, tell folks. You've been involved in the community for a very long time. For folks who may not know your history here in Lubbock, tell folks a little bit about yourself.
It's kind of interesting in that I came to Lubbock by way of Steak and Ale Restaurant. I came here, quite honestly, it was either 76 or 77. I get those dates. It was late winter, late 76 or early 77. Cause I was working for Steak and Ale and traveling around and opening up restaurants, which is now Stella's. A lot of people probably have been living here that long that they remember when Steak and Ale restaurants opened up. I grew up in Amarillo. I wanted to go I went to Amarillo College for 2 years. They have a great radio TV department there. Wanted to come to Tech, but they wouldn't transfer a lot of my credits that I earned. So I wound up going to North Texas. Okay. And they have a great radio TV film school basically there. So the Steak and Ale connection is there was a carload of us that would get in the car sometimes every day and drive to Dallas to work in Steak and Ale. After I got out of school, they asked me to go into the management training program, and I traveled around, and here I am in Lubbock, Texas. That did that for a little while, and then went to work for a guy that thought it'd be good to start using my education. Went to work for John Waddington, who had an advertising agency, a very successful advertising agency, and then I struck out on my own when some friends of mine from high school in Amarillo called me and said, what about, and I'd left John, he said, what about opening up an ad agency? So I opened up one in the suites in the Pyramid Plaza, and it was me, and I would venture to guess one of the first fax machines ever seen in the city limits of Lubbock, Texas, and we had a great run, had a very successful ad agency, closed that in 2007, and for the last 5 years, I've been the marketing director for McGavick Nissan. When I did have my agency, I did a lot of politicals. Yeah. And I don't know of one that I didn't win, to be real honest with you. As best as memory serves, I think one of the first first political was when I helped with a guy named Robert Duncan, who ran for state rep.
Name sounds familiar.
He's done okay. Yeah, he's done okay. So I really wasn't. This opportunity wasn't even on my radar. And a couple of friends called me up and said, would you consider running? And I said, I'll consider it. So we visited, and one of the things first things I made sure, I called Karen and said, you are not running, right? You are not running, because I don't care who it is. It's tough to win against an incumbent.
Yeah.
So it's an open seat. So I'm assuming that there will be somebody else that will throw their hat in the ring between now and sign-up time, which I believe is late January, early February of 2018.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Was there an issue or a couple of issues that made you go, yeah, I want to run? What was the final push to get you to run?
Probably right up there on the top of the list is I knew that I was going to have the opportunity to come and talk to Chad Hasty. That was really on the
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, I know how to work my audience here. But seriously, the timing was right for me. The city, it's a very, cliched term, but Lubbock's been very good to me. I love this place. I love West Texas. I wouldn't live anywhere else. We've got the train moving, I think, in the right direction. And it was just an opportunity for me to give back. And this door opened, and I did some due diligence on it, and I decided to walk through it.
And when I was reading through some of the things that you had to say at your press conference, and you were talking a lot about the culture of West Texas and Lubbock, obviously being a growing city, but still you were wanting to keep that West Texas culture. Is that something you see as maybe something that's slipping away from Lubbock, or how can you as a councilman kind of keep that West Texas culture in Lubbock, which is a growing city, and things do change. Once you have a city that grows, it does kind of take on maybe a new characterization.
The way I would phrase it is it has you're afraid of the potential of it being diluted. And I love West Texas. I was born in Dalhart, XIT all the time. And as a part of my platform, I want to really build on my platform on the weeks to come. And one of the things I said during my presentation that I promise to honor the past, embrace the present, and welcome the future. And when I talk about our past, I would love to develop some ways that our children can learn and be sure and learn about the culture and our history, who our forefathers were, how tough it was when they first came here and had not even punched water wells. It was a pretty barren place. It was truly the Llano Estacado. But if you look at this whole region, the history of it is so rich. I don't think there's a history that is exactly like ours any place in the country. So it would be my hope that in heavenly days, if I don't win, that would still be a passion for me to try to figure out a way to make sure that culture is honored, that it doesn't get diluted, that our kids know about the Charlie Goodnights, the Oliver Lovings, all of those things, the lonesome doves that's in all of us out here in West Texas, so it doesn't dilute down that we forget who we are and where we've come from.
Visiting with Randy Christian. When we come back, we're going to get into some issues that past councils have faced, current council faces, and maybe future councils will face, and we'll get into just some of Randy's thoughts on some of those issues of the day and of the past. We'll be right back. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO. Back on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk, 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO. Randy Christian in studio. He's running for Lubbock City Council, District 5, and he's got his website up and running. You can check it out at Christian4, and it's spelled out 5, the number 5.com. Christian45.com. You can see Randy Christian's website. He's also on Facebook, and you got Twitter. You got all social media going as well. The campaign is rocking and rolling on social media.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. My youngest son is a mass comm graduate, tech mass comm graduate, and he's working on his master's. And it just so happens that his focus is social and digital media.
There you go.
So he's been a great help.
He's helping you out.
Well, like I said, tell people win, lose, or draw. It's going to be fun to work with my son on this.
Yeah, well, that's fun. Let's talk about some issues over at Lubbock City Hall. And let's say you're on the council right now. How do you look at the issue of Citizens Tower? I mean, this is going to be brought up, I think, in this next election. It's going to be brought up for the next few elections. What do you think about Citizens Tower for all those who are running for the first time? What are your views on Citizens Tower and of the plan for the Lubbock Police Station evolving into substations?
Fortunately, the Citizens Tower ship has sailed. And I knew that was going to come up. So there's really not a whole lot. Well, there's virtually nothing I can do about Citizens Tower, though. That's signed, sealed, delivered. That's happening. I noticed somebody posted something that's a business person in that area was excited about some of the streets being blocked off again because they're really seriously getting to work on it. So my position is that there's not anything I can do about it. And any way I answer your question, there's some people that are going to hate me, and there's going to be some people that love me. So my position is that it's a non-issue for me right now, and it won't be an issue because that ship has sailed. But in regards to the police, I'm an advocate of the community policing concept. I think it's probably, if I remember right, that was talked about years ago, but it never did happen. I think we're a different city now. We're larger. Driving times from far southwest Lubbock, particularly District 5, for a police officer to take somebody down to central headquarters, that's a 20-minute drive. So from a time and economics and usage of manpower, I think that those police substations, if you will, there might be a different term for it, make perfect sense.
And something that I think the council has had a tough time grappling with right now is the main station. You know, whether it's going to be in what's the current city hall, going to be the old city hall. Is it going to be in there, or are we going to build something else? I think you have the police who have come out and said, well, the current city hall is too big. Some say, well, you could grow into it at some point. Lubbock's going to get bigger. It's going to continue to grow for the foreseeable future. How do you weigh, if you're on the council when that decision comes up to put final approval on the plan for the police department and where that central station is going to go, that downtown station is going to go? How do you weigh the cost and the benefits of either building a new building or moving into the current city hall, which will eventually be the old city hall?
I would say the first thing I need to do is lean on the chief and some of his expertise on what that building needs to be for them. Is that the city hall, is that really truly feasible to turn that into a police station of the 21st century? Quite honestly, I don't know enough about that the current city hall to tell you whether that's possible, but I think there needs to be some discussion to decide which makes best sense from a feasibility and a cost perspective. And I think those conversations are ongoing right now. I think that we need to lean on them and move forward. To answer your question, how I'd vote today, quite honestly, I don't know. I need to find that out. As I mentioned before, between now and the January 1st, it's going to be Randy's listening and learning tour.
Yeah.
And I'm open to listen to, as I've told people before, wherever two or more are gathered. I'd prefer two more than two, but I'd be willing to chat with people.
Well, I think even the current Lubbock City Council, I think there are a few who they're still undecided.
I think that's still, and quite honestly, in my my gut, I really feel that ship may have sailed before May of 2018 too. I think it's very possible because there's been enough conversation and planning that I think that's very possible.
Yeah. What is your philosophy when it comes to taxes? That's obviously something you're going to get asked a lot from individuals and people like me. What is your philosophy when it comes to taxes?
Who likes taxes? The last thing I'd want to do is
a lot of government people do.
Well, it depends, but I'm a citizen servant, so the last thing you'd want to do is raise taxes. And that's going to be my position on a lot of things. Why would we even want to consider raising taxes? There's got to be a good reason for it, and it better be a darn good one, because it's going to hurt me as much as it hurts any constituents that live within District 5 and live within the city limits of Lubbock, Texas.
Is there, for you, is it we're not going to raise taxes unless there is a drastic need? You know, you have some people who have run for council who say, absolutely, I will never vote to raise taxes. Others who say, it depends. If we need to raise taxes in order to build, I'll throw out there wants versus needs. Wants versus needs. If we want to build some extra splash pads somewhere in order to enhance an area, we'll raise taxes for that.
I don't think the want versus need ever needs to run parallel. They have to intersect at some point in time for you to make a good argument of why you would ever raise taxes. And I think that's the way we need to proceed in the future. One of the things that I do believe, and it's because I've had some people, what do you think about growth in Lubbock, Texas? Well, the genie's out of the bottle. We're going to grow. And there's going to be needs on down the road. How do we finance those needs? How do we pay for those needs? That remains to be seen. There's a number of ways we can pay for what we need, and particularly in infrastructure. But we're going to grow. And in my opinion, there's two primary reasons, and some the third and fourth reasons. But one, we're in Texas. I think we're going to get our percentage of growth just because we're in the great state of Texas and people are wanting to move to Texas. Second, Texas Tech. Look what we had. Was it 37,000, an all-time record enrollment for tech? And yesterday, I don't know why I thought about this, but I thought, are we going to see a bit of growth? Unfortunately, because of the hurricanes. Are there some people that have lived down there and been through enough hurricanes and enough flood and live close to sea level that they're going to find, especially retirees, I think. Mm-hmm. I think that we might see a little bit of growth directly related to what's happening, unfortunately, on our Gulf Coast and the Houstons and all there. But we're going to grow. So the real point of what I'm saying is that we have to be smart about how we I don't want us to be the next Austin where we're the orange barrel capital of the world. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we have some really smart people on council right now, some people that have a good sense about how to get things done. And also we have a city manager. We now have a city manager, and I don't know Mr. Loomis very well at all, but I think that now that we have somebody that is here we hope for the long haul,
right.
I think there's going to be some smart planning, and especially when it comes to I think it's the 2020 planning project that's
right.
going on, the Citizens Planning Project. I know of a few people that are on there. I've already made arrangements to talk to some of those key people who are on there, but we're going to grow. So let's work together to make sure that that's a smart growth and that it doesn't burden our citizens however we need to decide how to fund it.
An issue that came up a couple of years ago that I believe will come up probably within the next year or two, which would put you on the council if you win the seat.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's it. If you win the seat,
yeah.
And this is it was a controversial issue then. Council, I believe, tabled it. It was the smoking ban, the citywide smoking ban that a group came in, tried to get it passed, did not pass here in Lubbock, but it could come back within the next year or two. If you're on the council and a citywide smoking ban were to come to the council, how would you vote on that?
Funny you should mention this one. That was the first call I got from that group that tried to pass it the last time. Quite honestly, I'd forgot that that we had even an attempt.
So they've already contacted
you. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. I mean, literally, it was like hours after I made my announcement.
Yeah.
Well, next morning. Sorry, it was the next morning when I was headed out of town for business, and they said, the call said so and so and so and so. We would like to talk to you about blah blah blah. And I called them back and said, well, what do you want to talk about? And that's when they said the citywide smoking ban. And quite honestly, I'd forgot that initiative had taken place to make a citywide. And of course, I said, be glad to talk to you. So I'm going to listen to them. I need to listen to property owners. I think there's once again, it's those parallel universes that are trying to intersect at some time. I have mixed thoughts about that because, I'm a colon cancer survivor. I've been involved with American Cancer Society for a number of years. And, obviously, smoking is, in my opinion, it's one of those top of the health hazards. If you could quit smoking, you could probably turn your health life around. But as it relates to making it a total ban, I'm not sure. I want to find out what was in the original proposal and see what happens.
Randy Christian, appreciate you stopping by today. I'm sure we will visit many more times between now and Election Day.
Anytime. As I said, listening, learning tour, and I hope I'm a lot smarter when I get back to talk to you next time.
Christian45.com is his website. You can check it out today. Randy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chad Hasty Show, KFYO.